I'm on the hunt for some fresh winter fruit that has medicinal qualities. And I'm actually going to share with you the research from the scientific journals to find out what they have to say about this winter fruit and its benefits for your health. As you can see, I'm not the only one out here foraging for food. One of the most amazing things to think is that there's actually wild fruit that is fresh, even this time of year. One of the beauties of this cold season is that the beech trees hold onto their leaves through the biting grip of winter. It's so much easier in the winter to see all the signs of the wildlife that is all around us. We just don't always see them. The fruit can often be found in the pine forests and oak forests, especially among the acidic soils. No fruit yet, but I'm getting closer. This is an area where the deer have been sleeping, and it's right next to the wild wintergreen. Well, I'm finding the plants. This is the wintergreen plant. It is the Gaultheria procumbens. We know it as the checkerberry or the eastern teaberry, but the main name that most people know it by is the American wintergreen. It was 12 degrees today. It's supposed to be a high of either, I think, 16 or 14. And here is some, you can see it very well there. Yeah, there's a little there. Some wintergreen, so you can pick fresh fruit. There's multiple. There's one. And if I dig around in the snow, it's all over in this area right here. I knew it's there from before. The difficulty is if you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't find it. But I knew that this area is just peppered everywhere with the little red berries. And what an awesome thing to think about, that you can pick fresh fruit the middle of December when it's 12 degrees outside, and it looks as good as it did. Actually, it looks, to be honest, better than it did probably several weeks ago when it was warmer. So that's a glorious thing to think about. It's just very special. Maybe you've had wintergreen lifesavers, those ones they used to have commercials back when I was a kid that said it makes a spark in the dark, and you didn't know if that was just kind of love language or did it really do it, but they did, right? You bit those things in the dark and you could actually see a spark. Well, what's the connection? The historical flavor of wintergreen comes from the wintergreen plant. It also comes from a certain kind of birch, and this kind of plant actually does have medicinal properties, both in the leaves and in the berries. They can simply be eaten. You see that the leaves, when they're healthy and fresh, they're nice green color, and they turn a purplish, brownish color afterward. But putting it in your mouth and chewing the leaves, I don't always swallow the leaves, but I love the flavor. You have, this one's a bit bitter. Some of them have more of a sweet flavor, similar to the Lifesaver wintergreen flavor. And I guess that one's kind of bitter. I just had some that was much, much better than that. I've never had a bad berry. The berries are beautiful little berries. The leaves themselves kind of have this leathery, shiny, kind of a thickish. The leaves are kind of thick. If you can find them, they have these beautiful little red berries. Now, this has historically been used by the Native Americans as a pain reliever. You can consume both the leaves and the fruit. I mainly like the fruit. I do chew on the leaves and get some of that nice wintergreen flavor, but mostly the fruit. The fruit is just a fantastic flavor. It's almost identical. If someone just stuck it in your mouth, other than the consistency, you would think you're eating a wintergreen lifesaver. But they would use this, the Native Americans would use it as a pain reliever. They would use it for back pain. They would use it for rheumatism, also for things like indigestion. So on several levels they would use this. The good thing is it's actually been put to the test by researchers today. Here's research from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences back in 2019 on salicylate. So salicylates found in this wintergreen plant. Now, salicylates are found in certain plant foods, including wintergreen, and salicylic acid is the component that is found in things like aspirin and these various pain relievers. The good thing about Advil, ibuprofen, Motrin, and these kind of things is that they do help lower pain levels often. They also can help lower your level of fever, but the trouble with them is the side effects. So the side effects can be things specifically like causing trouble to your stomachs, causing ulcers. Because what they end up doing is that your stomach obviously has stomach acid. Stomach acid is very powerful, obviously, to break down food. And what happens is that these somehow interact with our stomach's ability. What our stomach actually does is it has to protect the actual stomach itself from the stomach acid. So we have a barrier helping, keep the stomach acid from burning our own stomach itself and causing what we call an ulcer. But when we consume these, it actually makes us more likely to have an ulcer. And I know because I one time went to bed, took some ibuprofen before going to bed on an empty stomach and woke up the next day with pain in my stomach, and for probably a month suffered with an ulcer. The great thing is I used a remedy with cabbage, and it took an entire month of using it, but it is gone, and so I'm so thankful that that has gone away. And I'll probably do a video later on about this simple natural remedy for ulcers. But these plants actually have the same component that's found in the drugs, but they actually don't have the negative side effects. Now, I want to be very clear. If you were to consume ridiculous levels of this, you also could be in danger of hurting yourself. If you were chewing leaf after leaf after leaf after leaf after leaf, you can end up having trouble with it. If you took like an ounce of the oil that can be extracted from the plant, it would have 170 Tylenol in that 1 ounce of oil. Now, it would be a ridiculous amount of leaves to consume that much, but I chew a few leaves, I eat several, maybe a small handful of the berries, and I've never had any problem whatsoever. And this is what the research is actually showing. Now, I want to clarify, because someone might be saying, hey, ulcers don't come just from ibuprofen, they come from a bacteria called H. pylori, and you are absolutely right. So H. pylori, many people end up having H. pylori, but they don't all come down with ulcers. What they found is that there's actually a synergy between taking these drug medications, these pain relievers, and the H. pylori. When someone has both of them together, it significantly increases their chances of having an ulcer. So it's not just the medication that does it, it is also a bacteria, but you're increasing your chances of getting it by taking these things. So we want our stomachs to be as healthy as possible so that we're not damaging our stomachs. And so using something that is safer could actually be a great benefit to our health. It says right here that NSAIDs, or these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, like Advil, Motrin, ibuprofen, and so forth, that they have these plant salicylates, including GT, which is for the Latin wintergreen, offer a better safety profile in internal applications. And it goes on to say that they do not exert gastrointestinal toxicity and gastric ulcerogenic effects. So the researchers say, hey, these plants, when they are in this form, actually seem to not have the dangerous side effects that the drugs end up having. So thinking about that, having natural remedies, and if times got real tough and you either didn't have finances or you weren't able to access things. And we kind of have now an idea of what that might be like with things shutting down. And so having natural methods, this is not the only place you can get it. You can get it from various plants. And actually they found that going on a total plant-based diet, that simply doing that can actually raise the amounts of these salicylates in your bloodstream to a similar level of taking like a baby aspirin every day. So this is incredible. So you can get it just by eating a healthy plant-based diet. But for anybody else, they could at least get some of these from these simple wintergreen plants or the wintergreen berries, and then they're also less likely to have the side effects from. But by the way, if you happen to be allergic to aspirin, you do not want to consume these because it potentially could be dangerous. It's the same component that's in there. It comes from these plant sources. And so make sure you're careful with anything, especially with wild edibles, but it's a very special experience. One of the things that I found getting to know, getting back to nature, learning the plants, you walk around and there are wild plants everywhere. I mean, right here, I'm just randomly look to my right, and this is not edible. This right here is witch hazel. And witch hazel also has an astringent effect. It can be used for hemorrhoids. I'm not trying to do a video on that right now. But the point is that all around us are medicinal things. There's food all around us in the forest. And getting to know them is a very special experience. It just deepens your knowledge of the world around you. It's kind of like you walk through the forest, maybe you've walked through it 1,000 times, and you don't know this plant, you don't know that plant, you don't know what kind of tree that is, and so you walk by them without hardly paying any attention. But then once you get to know, okay, right around me I have witch hazel, right around me I have these various oak trees that drop their acorns, and those also, if you will get the tannins out of them, can be eaten also. You have various roots, you have these berries, these medicinal berries right here that can even be found in the winter. All of these things are all around us, and it just gives us a connection with nature, an intimacy that is super fulfilling, and it actually, I would say, is life-changing. And by the way, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications, turn it to all so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos that will be coming out. Share it with your friends. God bless and have a fantastic day.